I'm told this is not a political rally. They're still banned in Zimbabwe. Instead, the supporters of the Movement for Democratic Change, or MDC, call this a prayer rally. Three years ago, this crowd would have been set upon by thugs from the rival ZANU-PF, the party of President Robert Mugabe. The day ending in chaos. But now the parties share power in a unity government, albeit a fragile partnership. With another election due to be announced, the MDC's Morgan Tsvangirai, now Prime Minister, is preaching reconciliation.
Love thy neighbor as you would love yourself. We must be tolerant. We must love one another.
One of those who laid the foundation for this unity government is this woman, Sekai Holland, now a senator in the parliament and co-minister for healing and reconciliation.
Political violence is Zimbabwe's second nature. Everybody who comes here for the past 1,000 years uses violence to take over the country, violence to maintain their power.
The senator knows all about violence. In 2007, she was almost battered to death by Robert Mugabe's police.
They locked us up, and I could see they were preparing to kill us.
When her leader, Morgan Tsvangirai, tried to intervene, he received the same treatment.
And he said, I hear you've got some of my people here. We were now really in the middle of the torture. When he got in, they kicked him onto the wall, kicked all his security, and they focused on him and his security for an hour. When they saw blood now, they came back to us because it was for 9 hours.
Her rescue and rehabilitation in Australia sparked a war of words.
Frankly, I've run out of patience. Most people have run out of patience about what's happening in Zimbabwe. We pussyfoot around far too much using diplomatic language. This man is a disaster. His country is just a total heap of misery.
We would like the issue of the violation of human rights in Zimbabwe to be taken up in the United Nations so that Mugabe can actually be taken to the International Criminal Court of Justice.
Now, like Tsvangirai, she's also working to heal old wounds.
And in really understanding that this is one country with one people where everybody should have a fair go.
She's travelling deep into opposition country, Mashonaland, one of the most fertile areas in the country and one of its most violent.
This is a pilot project with 900 farmers in 4 provinces. So
she's here to look over one of her ministry's pilot projects aimed at bringing this strife-torn country together.
It's a ZANU household. They are part of the program, but they would say...
Most of the people living here are supporters of President Robert Mugabe and his ZANU-PF party. But the talk now isn't about guns and machetes. It's about the drought-resistant maize that has been introduced to help farming communities.
They're forced to reconcile because they live with each other.
Yes, but there is no mechanism for people to then regularize and normalize their relationships. And we, in the organ, are setting up an instrument, yes, where this can happen, like this thing. You can't quarrel when you're eating.
My experience is if it's task-oriented, if there's a task to do and people have to work together to achieve the task, then they forget the divisions between them.
Stuart Rees is from the Sydney Peace Foundation. He's here with former President of the New South Wales Legislative Council, Meredith Bergman, to award Holland with the prestigious Sydney Peace Prize in recognition of her lifetime's work for peace and dialogue in Zimbabwe. But with an election waiting to be called, tensions are again rising. So who did you want to introduce me to?
This lady here. Her husband was actually murdered in their presence.
Loveness Chigega's husband was murdered by ZANU-PF thugs.
bani vavo ndobva zvikandobva nokadho vakakanda ari kutanga ndobva vanzvenga baba vakanga vachibvunza vachiti ko chamuri kutorovera chii zvikati kurovera kuti muri sapoti MDC ndinorwadziwa ndani kuti vakaya vakandiparadzira musha wangu vakandiparadzira murume wangu tisati tambofunga kuti tichaparadzana izvo ndakasara ndiri kutambudzika ndega nevana ndiri ndegani paakaponda murume wangu pacho nepapo murume wangu akasara akavigwa ndisipo ndiri musango ndiri kuchipatara kuwana musha usisinaye kana vanhu kungosara rangu vagwa rega.
Despite Sekai Holland's tireless efforts, reconciliation isn't working for Loveness.
Ipapa ndinototya kuti pamwe akagona kuuya futi maelection vanogona kundivhiringidza vanhu vacho nevavo vandikaziva pavanhu 50 vese ivavo ndakaziva vanhu 4 ndovandikaziva vamwe vacho.
Stories like this are common all over Zimbabwe, and many want justice, not reconciliation.
In terms of the cases that we have recorded, we have not had justice. Out of the over 200 deaths that occurred in 2008, there has only been one prosecution that has resulted in a conviction of those responsible for the murder.
Dewa Mavhinga works for the local human rights group Crisis in Zimbabwe Coalition.
The perpetrators remain free on the streets, and this is an absolute sense of impunity that they are enjoying as perpetrators because of their alignment with ZANU-PF and those that are controlling our institutions of justice.
Loveness is a part of Sekai Holland's agricultural healing program, but can't face her attackers.
Do you work with the people in this community who killed your husband?
Loveness is not alone. According to Dr. Isaac Chiravanzi, all of the 400 villagers in the healing program have survived attacks of violence. Not one is a perpetrator.
So this is a non-partisan...
It's non-partisan. We don't even want to know where their background. We simply say, please come and work together. But as soon as the victims come in, the perpetrators leave, because I think they are very ashamed of what they did.
He says upcoming elections are polarizing the country.
Everybody's afraid of that. Everybody's afraid of that, yeah. Everybody's afraid. Unless something is actually put in place, like the involvement of the United Nations or the other international organs, to make sure that that what happened in 2008 doesn't happen again.
So you're working with 3 different political parties in Zimbabwe,
Yes.
which is, basically what the unity government is. Is it a happy marriage?
It's an inclusive government. I think that what brings people to say they want to be married are the positives of every situation. But every marriage has got some negatives.
So do you think they'll fight you at the next elections in the same way that they fought you in 2008 with violence?
They cannot, because we have all these agreements. We have all these agreements.
But what does that mean? Do you think they'll stick to those agreements?
I think that these agreements are not being done in a vacuum. SADC are the guarantors, and the AU are there, the United Nations are there. We are part of the international community.
But with scenes like this from 2008 still fresh in people's memory, not everyone is as confident as Sekai about the future.
One of the reasons is that the infrastructure of violence, the machinery that has been deployed in the past to perpetrate violence remains intact. If in 2008 there was a deployment of soldiers across the country, and these were responsible partly for violence, and this deployment has not been recalled. We still have those soldiers in the rural areas. We still have militia groups. But now it's even worse because we have militia groups in urban areas.
We were thrust into the deep end.
Today we've been invited to a rare meeting with John Nokomo, Zimbabwe's Vice President. He provides a rare admission about ZANU-PF and his own history.
I've been a victim, but you have a situation where from being a victim, maybe I became a perpetrator. So I know both sides. And when you want me to resolve these matters, it's easy for me because I understand what it feels to be on any one of the two. Healing begins with me, healing begins with you, healing begins with all of us.
And it seems that the Vice President, a ZANU-PF warhorse, is thinking of his and his party's legacy.
Look, we are at this age, but it worries us to imagine just what inheritance we're leaving for those who are coming behind us. That is what worries us.
Tsvangirai has always said, always, Mugabe is part of the problem. He is really got to be part of the solution.
Until today, no African woman leader has ever received this prize.
The Sydney Peace Prize is being announced at the Australian Ambassador's residence.
The winner of the 2012 Sydney Peace Prize is Minister for Healing, Reconciliation and Integration, Senator Sekai Holland.
I really am overwhelmed that finally African women have been recognized because we are at the bottom of the pile, and I never thought we would end up with you as Prime Minister, me as an elder in an organ for national healing, reconciliation and integration. And I think that we've really done it if we are to die today. So thank you.